Hello friends, I'm in the middle of coming up with new flowers and going to do some research and development today. I wanted to share some behind the scenes while I work on new designs, and I'll be answering some of the questions I got on my Instagram. The first question I got was, how do you decide what flower you are going to do next? I have a long list of flowers and ideas on a notebook where I write in and look through often to see what sparks my interest next. But sometimes I randomly find inspiration, whether it's from my morning walks, my weekly visit to Trader Joe's, or scrolling through Pinterest. This week, I'm going to tackle some old and new ideas. I have the paper prickly pear cactus and the cabbage rose. I used to cut them by hand, but I wanted to turn them into a template. So I needed to dig through and see what shapes and measurements they were from my old creations. Is it possible to make a living from paper creations, and any advice to someone just starting a paper flower business? Yes, it is possible. I make paper flowers as a full-time job since 2016 and have been in business since 2010. Initially, I started my business as a side job while working full-time as a music teacher, which was what I studied in college. Once I felt like I was able to make enough money through my paper flower business, I went full-time. In the beginning, my business was mostly making paper flowers for wholesale, events, weddings, and corporate giftings. But now, my business profits most from digital templates, tutorials, and workshops. My advice would be to take advantage of social media, since that is free marketing. I post consistently, and when it is most consistent, it is when my business makes the most money, because it generates more clicks on my online store, which means it'll make more sales too. Do you use the Cricut or Silhouette Cameo? I actually use both. I first started with the Silhouette Cameo, so I feel most comfortable with the Silhouette. In a lot of my trial and error process, I use my Cameo. I have 3 Cricuts though, all different models, and because I have so many of them, they usually work for me when I do bulk orders. I want to say my Cricut Maker, the older generation, has been the faster machine when I time myself during those projects when I'm cutting 8 hours straight on all my machines. There are so many pros and cons to all the different machines though that it's hard to say which I would like to recommend. I'll have to do a whole breakdown on what those pros and cons are for me in another video. How did you start attracting deals with brands? Like my previous advice in being consistent on social media, and when I was most consistent was when I got noticed by brands. Some of my brand deals actually came through my Instagram DM. Partnerships were very much through social media presence. I know following count isn't always what they were looking for, and it is possible to get partnerships with lower following count. But I think those numbers do help, so growing your platform is always important when attracting partnerships. I also like to have a variety of different content. Although most of my videos are very much paper flower tutorials, I try to incorporate different craft mediums like painting, card making, lettering, sewing, and more. Other than partnerships, paper artists can also get brand deals for customized projects with brands like window display, event installations, brand giftings, live paper flower making at events, and more. For these projects, I would say do some mock events and post images that show you could do this type of service and promote it on all different social media platforms. My next question was in Korean. 한국어를 줌 수업 예정은 없으신가요? 아님 한글 자막이라도? Will you be teaching in Korean through Zoom or at least in Korean subtitles? I thought YouTube automatically translated the captions, but I realized it's a little tricky to go through the settings for people. So I actually just figured out how to officially add subtitles to all my YouTube tutorials and added a translate to a handful of languages. So please check out the videos again and check the Korean subtitles. I also offer online one-on-one Zoom workshops for people that are serious, and I will link that below the video. Side note, I'm also really excited that I have officially booked our summer trip to Korea. And although it's my dream to one day teach a live workshop in Korea, it seems really hard for me to set that up. But if anyone in Korea would love to at least grab some coffee with me in June 2024, or give me any Korean recommendations, please message me below. Do you make flowers every day, and how long does it take to make a flower? I'm usually working on flowers almost every day. I might take a day or two in between to do some admin work like writing emails, editing videos, updating my website. But I want to say I cut paper every day, and it takes about 10 minutes or so for me to make one flower, more or less depending on the flower. But after doing this for 13 years, I'd say I'm pretty quick. Any tips on how to reach men audience as they usually buy the flowers? I also have less than 5% of my audience that are men, so I don't have any tips other than saying I like to tell my husband what I want. So if you are reaching a majority of women as your audience, they'll let their significant other know as well. Which flower are you going to create next? I've been wanting to make paper butterflies and paper birds for a while, so that's what I've been working on here. But after this, I'm thinking I've had lotus flowers on my list for a while, so I'm hoping I could tackle that one of these days. I hope you enjoyed this process video along with the Q&A. Thank you so much for your support here. I'll see you on my next video. Bye.